you're actually relieving them. So you come up with 45 minutes left, and then they just go back to the jump seat, and then you guys are all up there together.
Okay, so
which can be kind of startling, to be honest, if you're coming off of and you're like, you then have to start descending and briefing approaches and verify.
Oh yeah,
right. So if you've just woken up and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, you're like, holy shit, there's Bahrain. We better look over this arrival.
Yeah.
So
this is the 21.5 show.
You're on 121.5, the emergency frequency.
Whether you're a professional pilot or want to be one, you're in the right place.
Let's get started.
Join professional aviators Dylan and Max as they talk their experience in the airlines, business aviation, and more.
Life is good.
Industry experts, unique stories, and plenty of fun. This is the 21.5 show.
Here we go.
Max, we are so excited to welcome back our good friend.
Real special guest we got today.
Our spirit animal. And our life coach.
A real breath of...
Planes love it.
Ted, we had to bring you back. Breaking news. Did you see that your boy President Trump has rescinded NOTAM and changed the name back to Notice to Airmen instead of Air Missions? That's actually true. Yeah, that's actually true.
Really? What was the change before? Notice to
Air
like
missions.
air people?
Air
missions or something? Air missions. Was it? Oh, because it was sexist?
I thought it was more for the new robots that are replacing us that way.
Yeah.
They weren't either men or women. That was what my concern was.
Could be it.
Yeah, we're the next cut on the by the Doge crew.
It's gonna just be. Sorry, can't make it. Justify your job. So you're telling me, sir, that you just make a bed and then you come out and sit in a cockpit for 4 hours? That's it?
Elon Musk is about to explode if he hears this.
Tell me how you hand fly the plane. What?
Everybody else is working 60 hours a week and you're sleeping.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Well, I'd like to offer a minute of a minute on the microphone to either of you. Both of you are experiencing fatherhood in your mid-40s. Right now in a new way. Any advice to our listeners, Ted? Should they wait until they make mainline before having kids? You recommend that?
Yeah. Well, at least you can afford it by then. But I will say, having kids in your 40s, they wake up so effing early. Like it's being hungover in your 40s with a 1 and a 3-year-old is like the meanest chalk has ever played on you.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's rough.
It's brutal.
Yeah, listen.
Don't be hungover.
We're doing it. There's pluses and minuses, I will say. Probably a little more energy, more passion.
It's a young man's game. But,
it's really a physical energy versus an economic energy game.
Well, that's the thing. But see, now I've learned you can leverage technology pretty far in baby rearing, even from 10 years ago. Like, dude, I have this like this thing she sleeps in, and it like rocks her, and if she starts to cry, it will it'll rock faster, and like it'll put the baby back to sleep, dude. Like normally you'd have to get up. And,
we had one of those, but it didn't work.
Oh, this works like a champ. It's like you put her in this special straight jacket that like straps her down like a mental patient, but it's unbelievable. That and there's it's just there's
it's like it kind of sounds like the 8. I have the 8 sleep thing, and it like chills and warms the mattress, and it's like, oh, you're about to wake up.
That makes the whole gig a little bit easier, but yeah, dude, there's nothing like getting woken up in the middle of the night, and then having to like get up and do something and then go back to bed. That is just it's tough. It's all right. Luckily, I'm a morning person. I get up early. I can go to bed early if I need to. It's all good.
It's all good. All good. So reflecting now as we've done this, what do you think would be if you go back and you say, would it be better for me to try and have a kid when I was at the regionals with like no money?
No. Dude, well here I should say
I'm just saying from a pilot's perspective, for people listening to this, like what do you think?
No, because at the big airline, you actually have like paternity leave now. Like, dude, I am off for I think 2.5 months from work. and I'm not full pay. A portion of it is full pay. But then if you just use a little vacation and you kind of work it just right and scam a little overlap drops and some things like that, like it's freaking, I'm getting paid a lot to not do anything. All right. So Ted, I have a question. So we get a lot of like people that write in and ask about flying the wide body, long haul international. And, and you know, I don't do that. I've only done international on corporate jets, which is a very different deal. So I just kind of want you to take us through like the start of your trip, like leaving your house since you commute, which a lot of, I think, wide body people do, because it's a little bit easier of a gig to commute to. And just tell us like I see you're in Doha a lot. I still can't picture you there, but anyway, just take us from like the commute to like what that trip looks like.
Well, you know, you got to make PBS happy, so you have to have a certain amount of credit hours to make the computer happy. So usually they give you a window from like, you know, I don't know, you got to get 70 hours or something like that. So if you do 3 Doha trips, they're 27 hours a piece. So you do 3 of those a month, and that's 12 days of work. And then you have the other 18 days off. You can commute in the day of the first day, and you can get home the last day. Everything international leaves late at night, so you can take like a nice gentleman 1 p.m. flight in if you have like a 1-hour commute, something like that. You go down to ops and you sit in a chair, take a nap if you want, and then you take off at like 8 o'clock, something like that.
Wait,
and
so how?
Okay,
so you're getting in at like 4 or 5, maybe, or 3 or something like that.
Yeah, like it's like 3:30, and then you get to fight the flight attendants for a lounge chair.
You guys share a lounge?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it. What?
This is things are a lot more PC nowadays.
Okay.
You should just
Everyone's
go
equal.
and on your way in, grab some $5 Starbucks gift cards, and then just throw them on the ground right when you walk in.
You know how annoying it is? They put their bag on a chair and then they leave for like 6 hours. But
Yeah,
they
what
hold
is
the chair.
What is this, like a towel on the lounge chair at a resort? Like you can't.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like theirs.
Please tell me you just move it and put it on the ground.
There is a pilot-only sleep room though, so you can go in there. So
anyway, all right. So you go down there, you take a nap.
Yep, get something to eat if you want, and then head up to the airplane about an hour and a half before. Then you have duties based on which position you are as a first officer. There's 4 pilots, so there's 3 FOs, and each FO has a certain duties. It's one guy does the walk around, one guy makes the beds in the bunk, and then one guy's the actual FO, and so he'll do the flight plan. And then you fly over there, and then you fly back day 4. You get done at 3:30 and fly home.
Wait, hold on.
8 p.m.
So how long is this flight generally?
12 and a half over there, 15 coming back.
So are you which FO are you right now?
My last trip I was the actual FO, but I bounce from all 3 positions.
All right, well, let's just say you're the actual FO. So you take off in the right seat, and how long do you fly for?
We start out. We usually do a 3-hour shift, and then the relief guys come up. They do 3 hours, and then
like you and the captain both leave.
Yep. And then there's
so you got the relief guys up there, and then what do you do on your? How long's your break then? 3 hours.
3 hours. I go up to the bunk and sleep.
Okay, so basically at this time it's like basically 11 or midnight your body clock time, right?
Yeah, you're ready to sleep.
So you go, like when you go in the bunk, do you like get undressed? Do you have like a whole set of other clothes you put on, or do you just take off your pilot shirt and just wear an undershirt or what?
I have my undershirt, my white one, but then I wear a sweatshirt and I put sweatpants on because that's the most comfortable. Right. Some guys don't. Some guys just take their work shirt off. I don't know. Everyone's different.
So you crawl up there and you sleep for 3 hours.
Yeah.
And then basically having all these kids have prepared you for this your whole life, because then you get woken up 3 hours later.
Yeah, because you only get to sleep for 3 hours max.
Yeah.
Yeah. And now you get up, you get dressed, Is there any
one
food
benefit of
going on?
young kids is you're ready to sleep at all times.
Yeah.
So then, wait, is there any sort of meals happening yet, or are you just
Yeah,
it's the middle of the night, so you're not really
the
hungry?
flight attendant, she asks when do you want your meals, and you just kind of tell her, hey, can you throw my meal in?
All right.
That's pretty much
Okay, so you take your 3-hour nap, you get dressed again, you roll back up to the cockpit, and you guys swap out again. So now you're up for another 3.
right. And then next one, the last set of breaks, you just kind of figure out based on flight time, and it usually ends up being like 2:45 or something like that.
So you want to be in the seat for basically the last half of the last portion of the flight, whatever that works out to be.
The captain says, I want everyone up here 45 prior to landing. So then you figure out the breaks going backwards like that.
Okay. So you go up, you're cruising, or you go up, you fly again, you take another break of however that works out, then you come back up, and then 45 minutes out, the other 2 FOs come up and sit in the jump seat.
You're actually relieving them. So you come up with 45 minutes left, and then they just go back to the jump seat, and then you guys are all up there together.
Okay, so
which can be kind of startling, to be honest, if you're coming off of and you're like, you then have to start descending and briefing approaches and verify.
Oh yeah,
right. So if you've just woken up and you're like, whoa.
Yeah, you're like, holy shit, there's Bahrain. We better look over this arrival.
Yeah. So, all right. So then you pull together and you fly the arrival and land.
Yep.
So what time? So okay. So I'm just trying to figure this out. Like, from
they
your
are 8
body
hours
clock
ahead.
situation.
So you land there about 4 p.m. the next day.
Okay, and you've gotten basically 6 hours of sleep, and now it's the morning. Essentially, it's
4
the morning.
p.m. Yeah, so move backwards.
Your wife's up, and
So it's about 8 a.m. Your home clock.
Yep.
Okay, but you've gotten about probably 5 to 6 hours of sleep, perhaps.
Yeah,
something like that, maybe.
Yeah, you're a little foggy, but you can. The first night there,
but you're not
it's easy to sleep because you're tired. It's the second night there that really sucks because of the time change.
Okay, so you get in at 4. You guys all go to the hotel. It looks like a pretty nice place. You say it by your location.
Nice little Hilton.
When I'm tracking you, little Hilton right there on the water.
Yeah,
some nice amenities.
I'll tell you what, it's a wild scene out at that pool. You have a mix of Islamic women in their like full all black, cover up everything, like face everything, and then you have Russian hookers and Ukrainian hookers out there in their thong, and everyone's just like intermingling. It's hilarious.
It's a real melting pot of culture, huh?
Yeah, it's pretty interesting.
So it's a little different than the pool scene you described previously on the show in Orlando with your captain as you viewed it from your hotel room.
To the water slide.
There's Paul.
Yeah.
There's Paul. Paul down at the pool.
Hang on, Paul.
Old Paul. So predictable.
All right. So you get in at
roll up,
4.
You get there. Yeah.
You're at the hotel by 5, probably. I'm saying.
Customs takes a long time there, so you get to the hotel to your room by 6.
Okay.
International,
so 6 o'clock. You get to your room.
Yeah. And then you guys meet up in the
fast,
executive lounge. And then just kind of hang out from there.
Have dinner. The first night's easy to go to sleep, even though. So, what time would you typically go to bed? Would you say?
I make it to about 11 o'clock local time there. That's a good goal.
11 back 8.
So it's like late afternoon.
So it's late afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, that's doable. All right. So you go to sleep, and then you sleep till the following morning.
You never know. Sometimes you wake up at this last one. I woke up at 5 a.m. local, and I couldn't sleep anymore. So that was brutal. And then I've had ones where I've slept all the way to 11:30. So you never know what's going to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe the best thing
is there any
to do
correlation
is
between that and how many cocktails in the executive lounge are consumed?
Is there what?
Is there any sort of a correlation between the cocktails in the executive lounge and the sleep-in time?
Yeah. Yes.
I was just curious. All right.
Shout out to
Deepak
and Manish, the 2 attendants in the lounge.
Yeah, respect.
Okay.
Deepak. Oh, Mr. Ted. Good to see you again, my
Yes,
friend.
enjoy your time.
Go to Jameson,
The
sir.
tip jar is right over here. You want your usual?
Yes, here's your
Mr.
tiger.
Exactly.
Tiger beer.
Yeah. Okay,
All right, so
yeah.
So now it's the next day, and it's, let's say, like, you get up, whatever. It's not. So what do you do? So you have a whole day,
day.
and you leave the next.
A lot of people do different stuff. I'm really boring. I just go to breakfast and then I go to the gym, and then I go out and walk around town a little bit. But there's honestly, when you do it 3 times a month for the last year, there's not much to see anymore. It's pretty boring.
Right.
You know, pool.
Sometimes.
You already just talked about the pool.
Sometimes.
Well, I'm saying, do you go to the pool though?
Sometimes.
Hang out sometimes. That seems like it'd be the move. I mean, if seems interesting at least.
Yeah, I mean, do all that.
If nothing else.
A lot going on.
All right, so you basically blow a day doing whatever. Yep. Now it's nighttime.
That night I go to the lounge again, or you go to the
see your boy Deepak.
Go see Deepak or Manish. No, or you can. A lot of times we'll go to a dinner out at the souk, which is like the marketplace where there's like restaurants and stuff.
It sounds right up your alley.
Yeah.
Yours is
I don't know, sometimes you need to do something different.
And who's we? Like, is just the flight crew, or?
Yeah, people hang out together on these types of trips. It's a little bit different than the domestic world. A lot of times people schedule activities and you can tag along and go on them, excursions or whatever.
Oh yeah, like when we got that picture of you on the camel
me and Beth.
with the flight attendants. Yeah. That looked like quite a day. All right.
So then night 2 is the battle. You try. What do you try and do? Same thing.
Night
try
2,
and go to bed
you
about 11?
can't sleep to save your life. You lay down to go to sleep. You sleep like 3 hours. Your body thinks it's just a nap, and then you're like up at 2 a.m. local, and you're just toss and turn until your wake up call, which is like at 5. And then you just grind.
So what time you got to be downstairs?
6:30 van out of there.
6:30 van. Saddle up. Same deal, except for now the flight's 3 hours longer. And you land what time?
Like 3:30.
Okay, and then you're cut loose, hustle over, grab a 5 o'clock flight, and you're home by what time?
I get home about 8 p.m.
Okay, and so it's basically a 4-day trip. You left in the afternoon on day 1. You're back by 8 o'clock on day 4, and you do that 3 times, and you're done.
That's why the international FO job goes senior, because the schedule is probably the best, because domestic captain, even though it pays a little more money, you're working probably 4 or 5 more days a month than that, or maybe 4 days more a month. Yeah,
really
working about 15, 16 days, I would imagine.
And let's finish the time clock discussion though real quick, Ted. You get home at 8 o'clock. You're right. You're tired at that point, right?
No problem going to sleep.
Do you feel like you go to sleep, you get up, and then that next day,
you're pretty jet lagged. The next day, you're pretty out of it, but you get sleep that night, but you just kind of work through it. I would recommend exercise, get moving, do something. Otherwise, you're just gonna feel like ass all day long.
So it's like a half. So I mean, you're basically kind of got to give away at least a day to battle jet lag, right?
Yeah,
would you say
it's a solid 24 hours.
I think that's a good realistic. That's good. That's exactly what I was looking for. Like, because we all hear about it, and like, so it's interesting just for you to walk us through it. It's for everybody, I think.
But I think Ted too. It'd be good for you to share. Like, I mean, you flew narrow body domestic for quite a while, so that schedule is fatiguing in a different way, right? Because it's not the time zone battle so much as just the amount of work, right? It's just the amount of flights.
Give us the pros and cons.
Domestic, I think the cons, though the pros are obviously the time zone and sleeping. It's pretty good. It's a longer day, like a duty day sometimes. You can have a 10-hour duty day where you fly 3 legs or something like that, and you're banging around airports, moving from airplane to airplane, and then there's delays, or you have a 2-hour sit in a hub, and that drives you nuts. So that gets pretty kind of fatiguing. But sleeping in a place like Qatar with a 8-hour time change is brutal also. So you got to pick what works for you. Some guys and then there's guys that can't sleep on the airplane. And so international flying is not going to be great for them. So you got to weigh all the different.
That's interesting. I wonder, because I have a really hard time napping. Like if I had to fly red eyes and had to like force myself to take a nap in the afternoon, or even if I'm super low on sleep, I just can't nap during the day very often, unless it's in the back of an airplane. Like if I have to deadhead or whatever, I can rack out before we even take off. I wonder in a crew bunk situation if I would be able to sleep, because that's kind of like in between.
Yeah,
those two scenarios.
I don't find it hard. But I mean, it's definitely not like sleeping on a bed, I'll tell you that much. But you also have a first class chair you could sleep in if that was easier. But you also have service going on with people, and I don't know. You have options.
Yeah.
I guess I've taken lie flat, seat over the international, and I've been able to sleep okay on that. So I'm sure either way you can figure it out.
Yeah.
But overall, you personally feel less fatigued doing this than domestic.
Yes, I think so.
Let me ask you this: what if you lived in base?
That would be great. Maybe you're saving a lot more time. Commuting is just a colossal waste of time.
I'm saying if you lived in base,
motivating?
If you lived in base, would you do narrow body domestic?
It would be tempting if you could do like gravy day lines or a gravy 2-day or something like that. But flying a 4-day is flying a 4-day. Those suck. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the idea too of one less commute, that's a big difference.
It's 2 less commutes
in your month.
5 Londons is 3 trips.
No, you're flying 3 trips, right?
If you were going to do London, it would be 5 to get to the same amount of hours, because those trips are so short.
But if you were domestic, it would be like 4 3-days, right?
Well, yeah, it'd have to be a pretty efficient 3-day on our end, though.
See, that's it. So that's kind of a theory that I had that I was talking about with Dylan, and maybe this is so like. I think as a pilot group, this is my theory. Tell me if it's correct. Like at Southwest, we all fly the same airplanes, same lines. It's all the same stuff. So we negotiate pretty hard all together for that one.
You're
thing.
all in alignment
Whereas if you have narrow body domestic and then you have long haul like you do. Do you think people are willing to put up with a little more on the domestic stuff as far as like work rules or how gravy they make that situation, because there's light at the end of the tunnel that you progress to the wide body international that's better?
I think so. I think just the industry in general, people view it as paying dues to eventually get to the gravy spot. I mean, we all did it from the very beginning at like the terrible flying jobs we had when we first started. So I think you put up with it domestically in the hopes that you'll get the gravy job at the end.
I mean,
I think that's.
I was just gonna say your interests are not all aligned.
Yeah,
your negotiating interests. I mean, there's just have to.
Yeah, that's definitely during
divide
contract negotiations. There's definitely some interbattles among the pilot group on what's important. In terms of getting domestic guy better work rule versus the international guys.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was kind of thinking. Because, I 95% of the time I fly 3 or 4 3 days a month. I fly Wednesday, Thursday, Friday every week. Which ends up being, you can have those up to crediting, 90 trips, which if you converted that to hours would be, I don't know, 95 or something like that, right? Or 70, it's anywhere. There's a big variation, but I think it's just also the nature of our operation. You can have a more productive day just because of what
you
we
guys
do.
generally stay with
maybe.
the
I
same
don't know.
airplane too, which
I don't
is a
know.
big benefit. Are you guys swapping?
A lot of times, but no, there's swaps, but there's not a lot of.
Yeah, we have
not
a
lot
lot
of
of
sits.
sit, and it drives me.
And now we get a lot of.
Yeah.
cheddar if there's a big sit. Works out. Then you're not. It was pretty funny. I was telling. I don't know if I said this on the show, but we went somewhere. We had to swap an airplane, and the airplane that we were swapping to was running super late. And blah blah. And the captain, we go down in the lounge, and he's all bent out of shape. I'm like, let me see if I can change your attitude here. I'm like, let's get out your calculator real quick. Okay, so we're going to be sitting here for 3 hours times whatever I had it all looked up, this, and then we're going to get in late, so we're going to get paid extra than this and this. So you're going to make an extra, whatever, four or five trips today for sitting here for a few hours. Just like watch a movie, dude, and take the money. It doesn't make what do you need to get to Cleveland for, really?
Was it the guy that's trying to walk 10,000 miles in the year?
Yeah, no, but we could have pulled a total influencer move and be like, I ended up with a pretty long sit here in the crew lounge, so I'm gonna change clothes, just get in a quick workout, and just ripping out some push-ups in the lounge. That'd be pretty.
I'm putting my bag on the recliner to hold it while I do some.
Gonna do some squats with some of the bags that are laying around here.
Pushing some type of supplement that they're getting some free.
Yeah.
In times like this, when I know I'm going to need some extra energy to finish this trip up.
Creatine gummies.
Let's take a quick time out from our conversation with Ben to talk about our favorite product of 2025, and that is Amigo Aerotows T1. If you listen to our recent conversation with them, it has changed Max's life at the airport. No longer is he struggling to push that 2,000-pound airplane in and out of the hangar. Simply hooks up the T1 now and effortlessly moves that airplane back and forth. If you want to get more information, check out the link in the show notes for Aerotows' websites. They have a tow that'll accommodate up to 15,000 pounds, and they've got a special offer for our listeners. Use checkout code 21FIVE to get $100 off any product. Scroll down on your podcast app to find the link to Aerotow and check out all of the products they have for pilots. Okay, back to the show.
Jeez. Ted, you are on TikTok still, I guess. So it got banned, then it got brought back. It was a short. Yeah, I think you're our only follower on TikTok that I know
Ted
of.
does not mind the Chinese of getting all of his personal details.
Yeah.
There's no problem with that.
What is the most egregious pilot influencer video? Just like the general, what's the one that you find the most offensive?
I think I got recently really offended by this guy in Europe who was wearing the hat, the aviator glasses, and then he had a GoPro in the cockpit, and he was trying to show how cool he looks while he's flying his 737 around. And just douchebag written all. I'm like, dude, you're not that cool, dude.
Do you ever?
I asked him.
Ted, do you ever be honest?
I did engage.
Do you
with
ever
that guy
engage with these
because I
people?
was concerned about how much forward pressure of the yoke he was using on his takeoff roll. I texted Max and another Southwest guy. I'm like, is this what they teach you guys? This guy was full forward on the yoke.
Oh, that's right.
And I'm like, dude, it's not
That's the guy.
It's not like a Piper Cub short field. What are you doing?
Formula One car.
And then he wrote back to me. He's like, it is in the Boeing flight training manual and all this stuff. And I'm like, okay, sorry, guy. Douche.
I love that you're asking guys on TikTok about
Ted. He's out there. He's monitoring.
This is how you know when you have too many days off.
Yeah,
is
when you know you're killing time
engaging with TikTok influencers about their airmanship.
Well, the ones I find the most offensive are the get the clearance with me videos. Have you seen those? Oh
yeah, I've seen those. Yeah,
where somebody's just recording a selfie video of them copying their clearance.
Yeah.
I love those. I'm not with you guys on that. I'm totally about
that. Is
there's nothing I want to listen to more on my time off than other people getting clearances.
It's just like the guy that sits in the cockpit with a speaker on. He listens to ground while you're sitting at the gate. It's just like, what are you doing? I hate you.
Ted, wait, Ted, what do you think about the guy that shows up? Hey, nice to meet you, Ted. I'm Bob. Sits down, and the first thing he pulls out of his bag is a big JBL Bluetooth speaker and slaps it on the dash.
I hate that guy.
You do?
Yeah, and then you have to listen to his terrible, like, classic rock or some bullshit.
I know. Well, that's the thing. See, the key I've learned with this, it used to kind of annoy me, and then I'm like, you just have to embrace it. And then if you just kind of like, just get in your head, like, yeah, I like 80s punk rock. I do. Today I do.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's a lot more palatable. Then it's a pretty good time, dude. And you're like, come on, turn that up. And you kind of feed into his energy a little bit, and then he's got it blasting. The passengers are looking like you're a couple of weirdos. I dig that.
I like pure silence. I want it to be pure silence, just, sterile.
Company call outs only.
Yeah. SOP all day.
I would love to see. I would love to see the typical script conversation when on your first day with the captain. Like, so where you?
Oh, the whole thing. Oh, where you commute from? Oh, that whole.
Where you come from?
Pretty much.
Jeez.
You got any kids?
Yeah, the whole deal. Yeah. Was he into any sports? Yeah. Oh God.
Big,
Ted, can you give us a sample of what a real professional, international, experienced pilot's PA would sound like? How deep do you have to go? You never make them?
I don't know.
You're only the captain makes PAs?
I don't do them.
What if there's turbulence and the captain's in rest?
You want that fourth stripe? You got to do the PAs. That's the way it works. Well, you would say put your seatbelt on or something like that. I don't know. I don't do any of that bullshit anymore.
Just show up.
It's just there. Wow. Okay, I didn't realize
take
that.
a nap.
Your airline had I flew it the other day. I'm maybe the most upbeat, trying to be funny guy on the radio. I kept saying that he was calling from the pointy end of the plane, and just on the PA was just. I was with the other pilot. I just looked at him. I'm like, this was.
That sounds like someone
bad.
from my airline.
Yeah, I know.
That's
exactly. I thought I was on Southwest. I was like, what am I listening to, dude? But he's doing it for him.
The only difference would be the captain on my airline would have exited the cockpit and picked up the phone
that guy
by the jump seat and been doing a personalized briefing.
While he's like tossing peanuts to everybody.
Mm-hmm. That's a whole. I like those guys. Who wants to be with a downer? Like, I'd rather take somebody that's a little over the top. I guess that's the difference between you and me.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to have a good time, get through the trip,
And don't be showing up to work in some bullshit tie too that has like a funny picture of like some horses or some shit. Wear your uniform tie, solid color only.
You would be you would never have lasted in Southwest.
Oh my God!
We literally have ties, Ted, that are approved, that are children's drawings from this Adopt a Pilot program. They're children's drawings on a tie that everybody wears around. You would lose it. I love it.
Does Ted last longer in a Part 91 job or at Southwest? That'd be a great Mr. Beast video. How long can Ted last 100 days?
Ted is right where he's supposed to be.
Yeah, you're exactly.
Everything worked out.
Exactly where you're supposed to be. Hey, speaking of that, Ted, I did have a couple more questions about the international flying.
Wait, hold on. I had one more thing to say before we get off the PAs.
Go ahead.
You know who gives the best PAs, though? They can make even the worst situation sound somewhat palatable. Is British Airways, dude. Those guys, they're like, we're experiencing just a minor delay. We'll have you on route here shortly. We apologize. And, you're just like, actually, this 4-hour delay here, holding short of the runway while you're waiting for your weight and balance numbers, you make it sound really nice, at least. Like I did.
It's the accent.
Yeah, we literally, when I flew to Europe a couple times ago, we held short of the runway for over an hour because they're,
waiting on numbers.
Yeah, like they couldn't get the number. There was some problem. It was over an hour holding short of the runway.
Wow.
And somehow I wasn't even that pissed. So I don't know. They have a way.
Do you guys push before you get your numbers, Ted?
Yes, unless it's a weight restricted flight, then you got to wait.
And is it ever like a scramble? Like, do you ever have to sit there and wait for it to come?
I haven't had to wait for numbers in a long time. It's been,
when you flew domestic, you
it,
did though, right?
Domestic, we did, but it seemed like maybe they've fixed some of the problem a little bit. I don't know, but now they just make you sit at the gate until you get your numbers if you're close on wait. But yeah, domestic, I would say you definitely waited for numbers a lot more.
Yeah, and it just is a lot more apparent when you're waiting for numbers when you're off the gate. Like if you're at the gate, we wait for numbers sometimes too, but we're not like
you. Yeah, I mean, and you got restrictions too. It's like you're doing a 15-hour flight back or whatever, and then you go out and wait an hour. That pushes you to 16 hours, and now you don't even have the qualified crew to do the flight. So
that's true.
You got to watch out for all that stuff.
Think about that. What's a fuel load on a 15-hour flight on the Dreamliner?
I think it's about 200,000 pounds.
Yikes.
Jeez. Okay, I had a couple more questions for you, Ted, on the international stuff. You live in an East Coast time zone.
Mm-hmm.
If you, because we just get so many people that keep asking us, what should we do? Is international good? Is it international? Would it be smart if you're on the West Coast? Or is it like, is you're going to be much easier if you live on the East Coast because most of the flights are departing there, or the times, or like, is there any thought on that of the difference between the two?
East Coast to Western Europe is pretty easy.
Yeah.
I mean, like, anywhere there, like the effects of it, you don't feel it at all. Yeah. But so if you're going West Coast, you're at another 3 hours on top of that. Then you're kind of getting into the same type of deal where it's a 7-hour, 8-hour time change.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's going to be more difficult. But those are also very efficient trips that probably pay a good amount of money from the West Coast to go to Europe. So you gotta see if it's worth it to you.
Do you bid these longer, like Doha and Middle East trips on purpose, or is that just what you can hold?
On purpose, because of the efficiency.
That's because they're efficient?
Yeah.
Because he only has to do 3 trips a month if he does that one, versus having to do 4 if he's doing like Western Europe, right?
Yeah, you'd have to do 5 Londons, and then you're working 15 days.
What about like Australia and stuff like that? Does that go senior because...
yeah, it's super senior.
Pays more?
And I think it's over 16 hours. So I think you're looking at 2 captains and 2 FOs. So those are very senior. I mean, it's like I think I heard it's worth like 33, 34 hours.
And then does it also, I mean, the South America has to be the most senior of all, right?
No. It depends if you're going down to see your second wife or not and your kids.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, but I mean, I thought that was like the best because you were getting the distance without
it's a
the time
double
zone
red
change.
eye. It's a red eye down and a red eye back, so people don't like it.
Even though you're not messing with your body clock so much.
You're not messing your body clock much,
well,
but it's also high crime.
Your time zone's not that different, but you're still messing with your body clock.
Yeah, double red eyes stuff, but yeah, you're also looking at high crime in a lot of those places down there too. So you gotta, I don't know. Turns some people off.
So like a Buenos Aires, that's not. Oh, okay. I thought those were like better.
Seems like Asia is people like those because they're high paying. The times work better for some reason for people. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess that would be the other thing. Is it easier to go backwards first and then catch up on your way back? Versus the opposite of what you're doing.
I haven't done it. I'm looking forward to it one day. We'll see.
Wow. Yeah, I think that was the other thing I was wondering about. So I guess at the end of the day, it really comes down to if you were to tell somebody that was commuting either way, international is probably the way to go, as long as you can sleep a little bit on the plane.
Yeah, I think so. I think though your argument, where you're talking about being in base, a domestic captain, let's say you're on reserve or you're working the system with, dropping trips or doing premium and all that stuff, it could be very beneficial. It just A lot of that's based on your airline, and then also what you personally enjoy, I guess. There's a lot of options if you live.
Yeah, but as a commuter, it's exactly.
So for you personally,
international. If you're a commuter,
are you going to upgrade
international
to
is
domestic
pretty good.
captain? So what are you going to do?
I'm doing this for it. This is it. I'm also.
So you mean until you can upgrade to captain and is in a wide body?
Yeah, I'm staying. I'm do this forever.
All right, you heard it here first.
Heard
folks.
it here first.
Ted is staying put. Period.
Let's take a time out from our conversation to talk about another friend of ours, Timothy P. Pope, who's a certified financial planner dedicated to guiding professional pilots through smart financial planning. Whether it's saving for retirement, investment management, a seamless military transition, or strategic tax planning, Tim is your trusted financial partner. Join Tim as he leads engaging discussions on personal finance strategies for professional pilots on the Pilot Money podcast. Timothy P. Pope, helping professional pilots make the most out of life.
All right, we are going to turn to some listener questions submitted from Instagram. Ted, first question. What for international? We had a big email the other day about tips, van driver tips, housekeeper tips. How is that handled on the international side? Is that all taken care of? Do you guys do it? What's
the number one flight attendant walks down the bus with an envelope, and everyone puts whatever they want in to the envelope. Usually $2 each, but a lot of time international, the captain just does the whole tip.
Okay.
Which
that's
is
just
nice.
for the van.
Yeah. He usually just tips everyone for the whole crew.
Okay.
Are you tipping your friends in the lounge?
Oh yeah. We're the only country that tips. We're like rock stars to them. And you give that guy $10. It's oh god. You give that guy $10. It's this is a disaster. It's like that's big money for him.
I hope. My only wish is that when you get back to Doha and you walk into the cruise, Ted, I heard you on the 21.5 show. Thank you for the shout out, my friend.
My friend.
That would be great.
That would be great.
For this, I'm going to give you my favorite goat.
Yeah.
I don't even know if people in Doha talk like or if they have goats.
Max has
I'm sorry, I probably offended somebody.
Max has one foreigner voice only.
Yeah. What do you mean? I already did a British accent.
That's true. That's pretty good. Yeah. That is true. And no housekeeping tip required?
No, I
okay.
Don't do housekeeping tips.
What is customary on the Ukrainian Russian hookers down at the pool? What's the tip?
Oh man, I will never forget. I was in the bar one night.
Did you ask Paul?
Yeah, Paul would know.
Oh my god,
hey, Paul, how much you paying for that? He's like, I don't know, 100 reales.
I buy in bulk, 10 at a time.
Reales. Punch card.
11th is free. All right, what else we got?
Another listener question says. Well, we kind of already talked about it. Who is your favorite pilot influencer? So is there anyone good? Is there anyone actually that's interesting? Because I actually have an answer for this.
There's one guy that works where I work. He's pretty funny. He doesn't take himself very serious. I think that's why I like it. He kind of just like humors like his view outside the Des Moines Hilton Garden Inn, and like, you know, he does funny stuff.
So he actually is showing the reality of it.
Yeah. But then it's the guys that make it sound like they're the coolest in the world or the worst.
Is it mostly corporate pilots that are that are doing that, or is it airline people?
A lot of guys don't even have their shirts on all the time.
I know that.
That's the worst. Yeah.
Always filming the work selfie.
Pilot Pete, put your shirt back on. FedEx guy.
Is that the dude that rips out the reps in the outdoor gym?
Oh no, I know that guy too.
Oh my god. There's one oh, is it this guy?
Wait, Pilot Pete was on The Bachelorette. right?
Was
I
he?
don't know.
He responds all the time to when I troll him.
Can you start sending some screenshots when you get a good troll?
He's trolling.
He has one of the he has a zipper tie, and I'm like,
Yeah.
you're an airline pilot. You should know how to fly. You don't know how to tie a tie. And he writes back to me all the time like that.
What does he say?
He's like he just like sends like the laughing emoji and stuff like that.
All right. So he doesn't get actually pissed. You can't get a real reaction out of him. He just all right. That's fine.
Yeah,
that's good.
There is a cool. I'm trying to find this guy, My Layover Life.
Oh yeah,
that guy actually. He does some cool. Like he goes places and he does show cool things, like what to do on the trip. And I feel like he's like goes on an international trip and then like finds like cool activities to do for the crew.
Yeah.
So I actually enjoy those videos. Have you seen these?
No, but that would be useful.
Yeah.
Rather than some of the
it's
other
actually
stuff.
Yeah. It's not like, here, look at this clearance. It's like, hey, if you go rent this boat in London, you can do this secret canal tour. And he's like got a bunch of flight attendants in this little boat.
Dude, I literally saw a TikTok of one of our pilots giving us his his facial like cream routine at night on his layover.
Oh no.
And he was just like applying all the stuff to his face. Like, I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
How did he look though?
It has his skincare routine.
Was it tight?
He looks a lot better than I do.
Is it more of an oil or is it a
cream? Is there any exfoliating going on?
Yeah.
Or can you expand a little bit, Ted?
Yeah.
Shout out to Fly with Garrett.
Oh, your kiddo loves that.
Yeah, he's hilarious.
All right, Max, I'm going through our flight advices here to see if we've got a good one for Ted. And I don't have anything that we haven't that I think would really speak to Ted. I don't know if you've got any advice, Ted, you'd like to dole out to our friends at the regional level that are kind of stuck grinding right now. What do you say to the guys that are stuck in the RJ building PIC time but can't move up? Any advice for those folks?
I guess
right
things
now?
have slowed down, I guess, right now. So, and we just went through a big 10-year boom, but the retirements are still there. So, I mean, there's gonna be constant hiring. It's just, I think if you just continue to build the time, but then also get some resume patters, do some volunteer, or say you volunteer somewhere. Just do some BS like that. I don't know. Get yourself a little bit special on the resume.
What James would call that is outside flying experience.
Outside the cockpit
I like
experience. That's good.
What Ted? Just do something.
Just do something.
Like what did you do, Ted? Did you volunteer like in a homeless shelter? Or what when you were at the regional level?
It's my charming personality that really shined through when I interviewed.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that stuff because you interview so well. Is that...
No, you just got to get lucky, basically.
Ted timed it perfectly. Yeah, it was what. Okay, let me do this now. Looking back, we've been doing this for about 20 years now. What reflections do you have, or what do you think you would do differently?
I think I would have gotten a degree in something other than aviation, and then flew after college and had more of a college experience. Not that I don't enjoy my college friends.
Wow, I'm a little offended.
I would probably have rather had a more entertaining college life than that.
Like in what terms? Like what were you looking for?
Not going to a school that had like one girl for every 15 guys.
And maybe like a football team.
Yeah, some type of sporting event to go to other than men, rubbing around on each other on a mat.
The rest
of your one sport.
We had a very robust women's volleyball program, Ted. How dare you?
Yeah, unbelievable. Guy.
Shout out to the Eagles.
Yeah. Eagles. Also, the flight team won the national championship many years in a row, so I think you're...
Yeah, that's true. We should have shown up to more of those events.
Yeah, those so you think you would have done that, Mac? Yeah.
It was those jackets, I think. Was the... With all the patches on them.
Those girls went wild for those jackets.
Yeah, girl. Yeah. What do you? Would you go to an aviation university, Max?
No, it's too expensive. It's a ripoff. It's not. Yeah, I would no. I would not do that.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
I mean, I don't regret. I had a great
have no
good time. It
regrets,
all worked out great. It was
Yeah,
it was
no
awesome.
regrets,
But now it's just the cost. Now the cost has gotten so lopsided that it's ridiculous. You can't do that. Like you got to treat the flying separate from the degree, and also it's you don't want to be a one trick pony.
Yeah,
because dude, I'm reading this book right now called Sky Gods, which is the story of the rise and the fall of Pan Am, and man, like dude. I remember I always used to say, like, I think, like, the best would have been, like, to be an airline pilot in the 70s. There was a lot of really cool stuff to be an airline pilot in the 70s, but there was also a lot that really sucked, dude. There people, literally no hope of ever upgrading.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
You've been in FO for pushing 20 years, and you're never going to upgrade. Like, so talk about stagnation, and, and then with furloughs and all the stuff, like, it's just the same thing we see, like hardly everything else. Where
post
you had the prestige, and you were probably making a lot of money at the time, but that was probably about it. Like in
Pan Am's case, man, I mean, they were really the imperial airline. Like they were a real symbol of America, and it was really cool because they didn't just be like, oh, we're just going to start flying to Europe. Like, dude, they pioneered these international routes. Like they were the first ones to ever do it, and they had to figure it out and build little hotels and seaplane bases out in the Pacific and do all this crazy stuff in the flying boat days, and even beyond that, even during the jet age. But then, so it was really something. It was a real thing. And then, but like many companies, not just in aviation, if you fail to adapt to the market and the change and the needs of the market, and you just keep doing the same old thing, ultimately, that usually doesn't work out too well. And that's kind of what happened to them. Is they had this massive international network. They were flying all these places, and they didn't even really care if it was profitable or not. They were Pan Am, and they went to Pango, and that was it. Like they went all these crazy places, dude. But then they ended up having no domestic feed. Yeah. And then you have all these other carriers that propped up, and they had domestic networks, and then they started flying international too. And then, and they got, the shaft by the Civil Aeronautics Board and some other things that were unfortunate. But it was just one of those things. They failed to kind of adapt with what was going on around them and build this. And then they tried to buy their way to a domestic network that was a real disaster. And that's about where I'm at in the book. But it doesn't look like it's going to end up real well.
Yeah, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. But it was cool talking about these guys that were the flying boat, the Clipper captains, like that started on the 4-engine, piston-powered flying boats and ended on the 7.4. Like that's wild. It's not quite like your career, Ted, where you started on a CRJ and you're on the 787, but it's pretty close.
No, it's still pretty good. A pretty good run. All right. Any other items for Ted, Max, before we let him get some rest?
I don't think so. I think that was a good talk, Ted.
Yeah,
it's good.
It's helpful. It's surprising how many people reach out and have questions about international flying.
And you,
and you.
This is the most disturbing part.
You can always try it, and then it's you can always bid back to domestic after your seat block. So
why not?
Wise words, Ted.
Very wise.
Ted, are you getting a general aviation airplane anytime soon? Any changes on that front?
Oh God, I just flew with one of those guys. What are you gonna do on your off days? I'm gonna go fly my airplane. I'm like, you won't see me near an airplane or an airport. Period.
I hope one of your kids wants to be a pilot. It'll be so great.
Me too. I hope he's
Dad. I love aviation. Will you
we
take me to the airport so we can watch
stuff.
the airplanes take off and land, Dad?
All of our dream is Ted's worst nightmare.
Ted's worst nightmare. Max and I are just dying for one of our kids to be into it. I have one.
My kids couldn't care less, dude. They have so much opportunity to fly, and
don't want anything to do. We have one out of the 5 of the kids that we've got down here. We've got one that's like fairly interested, and the rest. They're done.
All
right, Teddy.
Good talk.
Thanks for the call, T.
All right.
Later, man.
See it.
One love.
All right. Well, Ted had to hit the road, Max, and we're going to do some general aviation talk. So it's probably good that he left because that was probably be even worse.
That was
That's his own personal hell. Talking about that kind of stuff.
So it's interesting talking about all the kids that and not really caring about flying, which is fine. Like at the end of the day, I really don't. It's not a big deal. But so I have this airplane, the Murphy Moose that we've talked about on the show, and I really want an airplane that I could fit my whole family in and fly places and do stuff. And then it turns out nobody actually wants to fly and go do anything really. So it's like me flying around with my wife or whoever else most of the time. Yeah, with it back empty, and it's great. It's awesome to have a big airplane you can shove a bunch of stuff in once in a while, but that's once in a while. But the one thing you can count on it all the time is it burning a lot of gas and a lot of other things. So I've a couple of the listeners were on to me. I did sell the Moose. It was on Facebook, and people were like, commenting on the posts.
Yes,
it's great. Thank you, everyone, for that. But
what were they saying? Nice things or bad things? Don't bad.
Oh yeah, no. Most of them like, is this Max for the 21.5 show? Or like, oh, what are you gonna do next? What about the Moose? Whatever. So everyone keeps asking like, oh, are you sad? And like, you put all that so much time and effort and everything. And I did. Yeah. But it's like it's a hunk of aluminum. It's not like it's a living, breathing thing. And I have pictures. Of all that hard work, and it was the experience of the whole thing is what is really important to me. For me personally, it was awesome to start with a blank slate in a lot of ways. Like with the instrument panel is a great example. Be like, okay, I can do whatever I want, and like designing that exactly the way I wanted, and having the switches the way I wanted, and having control over things that and just the having the control to do it and dream it up and then make it a reality. That was one of the coolest things I've ever done. Yep. And so it was a great airplane. It's an awesome airplane. The guy who's buying it is super nice guy. Like I've ended up hanging out with him quite a bit through the process, and he's going to be putting a PT6 on the front, which I told him, your famous line. He's like, well, do you think I should do this? I don't know. The radial's pretty cool. I'm like, listen, there's only one reason this airplane doesn't already have a PT6 on it. Only one. And I'll give you a hint. It's the same reason I don't have a G500 too. Yeah. And that is money. So he's going to go do that, and that's going to really make that an incredible airplane. Like I said, I'm like, dude, this thing had a turbine on it, and I had the cheddar to have gone that route. This airplane would not be going anywhere because I wouldn't care.
Does it? The fuel will be a little bit cheaper, right? Obviously, it's going to burn more though.
Yeah, so. It's actually not. If you look at the cost, because I've evaluated, I've had an opportunity to go in on a partner on a different turbine airplane and stuff like that, and I've looked at that, and the fuel isn't really. The big thing, and it's really the initial cost, because the maintenance is less intensive and expensive annually. It's the overhaul, obviously, but flying a personal airplane around, you very unlikely to hit those numbers. But it's the hundreds of thousands of dollars initially, and that's even for an experimental PT6, meaning it came off like a military King Air, which was fine. It was maintained the same as a civilian King Air engine, but since it was on a military King Air, it can't be used in a certified airplane. So there's a way to get those for less expensive. Yada. So anyway, good luck to him. We'll be involved, and we're gonna fly together when it's done. And so the Moose story will not totally come to an end, but
it's just the next chapter. It's the beauty of.
Well, that's it. I'm definitely getting another airplane. Yeah. So there's that. Probably something smaller. 2-seat, more capable for flying in the backcountry.
Can it hold two, I would say, portly podcast
full-figured
hosts?
Men?
Yeah, full-figured men.
Oh, yeah.
At the same time? Okay, that's good.
Yeah, for sure. It'll have good, useful load for what it is.
You didn't sell that cool, camera wing mount, did you?
No.
You didn't have to throw that into the deal to close it?
That will remain.
Keep that. Hang on.
Yeah, so I've got a couple irons in the fire. I'm working on something that'll be really cool. And, because there's it's funny with airplanes because obviously there's no perfect airplane, but the trade-offs are so drastic between, fast airplanes and slow airplanes, or big airplanes and small airplanes. Like the Moose is awesome, and it takes off and lands and climbs great for what it is, but there's just things you can't do with an airplane that big, especially an airplane that big on spring, steel spring landing gear, like a 185. Right. You just can't do what you can do in a Super Cub or a Carbon Cub or a Highlander or Super Stol or all those different airplanes you see on YouTube, too, like that you can just put 35s and go land, a lot of very aggressive places that are not very big and not very smooth. But you're still kind of going slow, and I don't know. It's interesting when you try and find the right airplane for whatever mission you really don't have.
Right.
Because I don't truly. My mission is to have a good time. My mission is to have fun. Like, So it's interesting to try and find the right airplane to fit what you want to do in your head, and then you don't really know if that's going to work out until you start doing it, because you don't have the airplane to do it in. So you don't really know if that's what you want to be doing, but you kind of have an idea, unless you have people you can fly with and stuff. So I don't know. It'll be interesting.
I'm excited.
Sagas to continue, and then what I really wanted to do was the airplane I really want is something called a Badlands Traveler.
Okay.
But it's a new kit airplane. I would have to build it. And while it's not that complex of a kit, I mean, the wings are fully done and you're just doing all the rest of the stuff, it still is going to take, I got a lot going on otherwise. So it's going to take a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be sidelined that long. So
we'll buy something and then wait for the Traveler a couple years. Someone will build it and then there'll be one on the market.
Yeah. That's really the key is, and honestly, I looked at doing this too and taking the money that I had available to put towards this project and buying a less expensive airplane and buying the kit and having an airplane to fly while I'm working on the kit. And then once I get to the point at the end, really, when you need to start writing big checks for engines and avionics and things, then sell the less expensive airplane and then finish the kit airplane. But then the problem is you're still, that would work great if you're retired. But now, not only are you building an airplane, now you have another airplane to maintain and to fly. Yeah. And so you're just spreading yourself thinner. And when I looked at it, I'm like, dude, not only that, I got a lot of other toys, a lot of stuff going on, a lot of kids.
Yeah.
A couple jobs, a podcast. There's only so much time of the day.
There's only so much time. Exactly.
So anyway, I'm going to buy something that's already flying and save the building for another time.
There will be a time to do that again.
Oh yeah, there'll be a time.
And it'll be awesome. I got a lot of time left. A lot of life left, A lot of life left to live. Wow, well that's exciting. So the Moose could be seen in a new area. Is he going to repaint it, do you think?
We were talking about that yesterday, and he's going to do something. I don't know if it's going to look wildly different. I mean, the whole firewall forward is going to go away, and that was a lot of the paint job on the Moose. So he's trying to figure out what he's going to do. And so I don't know if he's going to do it totally different or whatever, but it won't be the same tail number. I'm retaining the tail number. He's going to use it for like up to 6 months until he does decide what to paint, and then I'm taking it back since my wife literally got me. Did I ever tell you the story of that tail number?
You should tell the listeners. It's an interesting story.
So my lovely wife and I have shared the exact same birthday, which is very strange.
Very strange.
But we've gotten used to it. So, I can't remember exactly. I think I mentioned something like, wouldn't it be cool if we had like a tail number? Our birthday is July 27th, so 727 MK for Max and Kenzie, and then she ended up taking it upon herself to find that tail number, locating it. And I think it was on like some 182 that was like flapped out and not flying, parked in a barn somewhere or whatever. And she tracked down the guy that owned it.
Oh, I didn't know this story.
Yeah, and she talked to him, and she had to negotiate with him to buy the tail number from him. And then had to figure out how to do all of the paperwork with the FAA to transfer this tail number and then reserve it so you quote unquote own the tail number, so no one else can then register it, so it's not put into the pool. So you can pay to continue to keep this reservation on the tail number. And it was cool. She did that, and then she waited long enough to get the letter in the mail from the FAA that says, whatever, that the tail number's been assigned to you, and yada yada, and then gave me that. So that was pretty cool. So the tail number is kind of important.
Wow. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the middle of looking at tail numbers right now, and you have to basically, the options are, I don't know if anyone's ever done this. You can reserve them on the FAA, and then there's this person that has the shortendnumbers.com where they like hoard all of the good quote unquote good tail numbers.
You should ask Sean about this.
Oh my gosh. I got a quote for one a while ago, and how much do you think he's charging for these?
Well, they're different depending on which one it is, right? Like they're different amounts. I think he charges depending on what it is.
Thousands for
yeah, guys. That's
an
really
interesting.
You got to give it to him because this website is so basic. This whole thing had to cost him nothing, but it's just like
I'm assuming it's him. Yeah,
he obviously saw something that was finite in nature.
Yeah, you just hold it. I mean, it's like somebody that registered the right website.
Yeah, totally. It's just
it's another example of like basically digital real estate, or it's or some type of. I guess this one is actually physical, but yeah, but people want what they want,
Yep, that's it. And,
very interesting.
They were willing to pay.
Yeah,
they want it bad enough.
Exactly. Well, congratulations on man. So lots happening this year. New kid, maybe new airplane.
Always lots happening in the Palmer household, man.
It's never slows
Moving
down.
and shaking over here.
Moving and shaking. Anything else? Well, we didn't do a flight advice with Ted. Do you want to do one with me, or should we just leave it for the next?
Well, let's. We've done this long enough. Everyone's worn out.
We've got enough.
Ted does that to people.
Yeah, he does. He grinds us down. All right. Well, that is going to do it for this episode of the 21.5 show. The show for professional pilots, international long-haul pilots, GA pilots.
Real lovers of aviation.
Lovers and haters of aviation, both. There's something for everybody. Thanks to all of our sponsors for the support of the show. Harvey Watt, Advanced Aircrew Academy. Timothy P. Pope, the Air Comp Calculator. Veris Jet Sales, ProPilotWorld.com. And, of course, Amigo Mobility. What? Oh, yeah. I guess we got to find out what's going to happen with the Aerotow. You didn't throw that in, did you?
No. No, the Amigo Aerotow, the T1 will be staying.
That will never be sold.
Yeah, no. Well, and the other thing, too, is I'm getting an airplane that is really not good for point A to point B flying.
Okay.
So I'm also in negotiations for usage rights for a point A to point B airplane, which is obviously larger. And so the T1 will be being put, is being used, leveraged in those negotiations. So the T1 will be being used on other airplanes that I am involved with also.
So this is just more great news, more content coming.
Just yes. Unfortunately, these airplanes don't have wing struts, so we won't be able to strap a camera to it, but we will have one of those in the stable, so it's all good.
I love that you're negotiating to buy a share of an airplane, and you're throwing in I have access to a tub, an Aerotow T1.
I was pushing and pulling this airplane out because I may have something that could help with that, perhaps.
All right, well, it's incredible. Shout out to Aerotow. That's going to do it. We'll be back soon. You know what? I think we're almost on the next episode. Might be the last chapter of the book club. I looked that up. We're almost done with Hard Landing.
I've never drug a book out like this in my life.
First few chapters are pretty quick, and then they really get deep.
Starts to really build up some steam.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Maxwell.
Flexibility is key to air power. All that good stuff.
See you next time.
Catch you on the flip side.
The statements made in this show are our own opinions and do not reflect, nor were they under any direction from any of our employers.